I never imagined the last glass of wine on our 10th anniversary would taste like betrayal. The bottle, expensive, dry, aged like our silence, sat between us unopened. Across the polished walnut table, Vanessa's eyes flickered. Candlelight danced in them, hiding more than it revealed. She wore red. Crimson silk clung to her curves like secret. She hadn't worn red in years. Not since Aspen. I reached for the bottle. Her hand stopped mine. "I need to tell you something," she said. Her voice trembled slightly, but not from fear. From restraint. The kind that comes right before something erupts. "Okay," I answered, unsure whether to brace myself or dismiss the tone entirely. She looked down. Her manicured fingers toyed with the edge of the napkin on her lap. Her engagement ring, my grandmother's, glinted under the dim restaurant lights. For a moment I thought of how she'd cried when I proposed. Then, how she didn't cry at the wedding. Vanessa inhaled, slowly. "I sold the cabin." I blinked. "What?" "The cabin," she repeated, calmer now. "In Blue Ridge. The one your dad left you." My chest tightened. "You sold it? Why?" A pause. Then the part that twisted the knife. He needed the money. I didn't ask who. Something in her tone made it clear I wasn't he. Some other man had needed what belonged to me. And my wife, my partner, my supposed best friend, had given it to him. I leaned back, trying to process. "You didn't tell me." "No," she admitted. "I couldn't. Couldn't or wouldn't." Her lips parted as if to respond, but closed again. That silence screamed louder than anything she could say. We drove home in silence. The kind that vibrates in your bones. I stared at the highway, but all I could see was the cabin. Snow-laced trees, amber wood, the fireplace crackling. It was where I proposed. Where we first said, forever. Now it was gone. Given away. For him. She turned the radio on. Jazz. Her favorite. I turned it off. "Stop punishing me," she muttered. "I'm just driving." Her laugh was bitter. "You're always just doing something, aren't you? Just working. Just distant. Just too busy to see me falling." That stung. But I didn't answer. My fingers gripped the steering wheel tighter. The house was quiet, as always. 2 bedrooms, modern, spotless, cold, sterile. She walked ahead of me, heels clicking like a metronome of regret. In the kitchen, she poured herself more wine. Not the expensive bottle. Just the usual. "Do you want to know who he is?" she asked. No. But of course I did. And she knew it. "His name's Daniel," she said anyway. "He's different." Different. That word hung heavy. "He listens," she continued. "He doesn't make me feel invisible." I chuckled. Not from humor. From disbelief. "So you gave him my father's cabin?" "He was drowning in debt," she said. "Medical bills. His son needed treatment." "It was." "Oh, so you're a philanthropist now?" She flinched. Then, quieter. "I loved you, Matt. I really did." Present tense, gone. I didn't sleep that night. She did. Next to me. Peacefully. I stared at the ceiling and thought about Daniel. What he looked like. If he touched her in that cabin. If her moans echoed off my walls. If she cried after, like she did after our first time. At 3:17 a.m., I got up. Went outside. The air was bitter, biting. I didn't care. I walked barefoot down the street, past neighbors' darkened windows. I didn't know where I was going, just that I couldn't stay. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "She cried after we fucked. Not for you. For me." I froze. Another message. "She still wears red for me." I stared at the screen, trembling. Daniel. He knew. He wanted me to know. I returned home, numb. My key jammed in the lock. When it finally turned, I stepped inside quietly. She was awake. Sitting on the edge of the bed, in one of my old t-shirts. "I didn't mean to fall for him," she whispered. "But you did." She nodded. "I didn't mean to betray you," she added. "But you did." She wiped a tear. "It wasn't just sex." I didn't say anything. I walked past her into the bathroom, closed the door, and locked it. Staring at my own reflection, I saw someone unrecognizable. Hollow-eyed. Betrayed. But more than that, enraged. Lust wasn't just for bodies. It was for revenge. For power. I picked up my phone and typed a message. To her sister. Her name was Eliza. Blonde. Cuvier than Vanessa. Softer, warmer, more spontaneous. Vanessa once said she was chaotic. I always liked that about her. Me, can't sleep. Want to talk? The reply was instant. Eliza, where are you? Me, same place. She told me. Eliza, I'm coming. 15 minutes later, headlights painted the front window. She didn't knock. Just walked in. I figured you'd call, she said, pulling her coat off. Tight jeans. Loose sweater. No bra. You knew? I asked. Suspected, she said. Vanessa's always had a weakness for sob stories. Especially if they came with abs. I laughed. She didn't. Then she walked up to me, eyes blazing. She didn't deserve you, Eliza said softly. And then her lips found mine. The heat was instant. Urgent. I didn't care that it was wrong. That it was her sister. All I knew was that I wanted to feel something, anything, other than broken. She pulled me to the couch. Fingers tangled. Clothes vanished. For the first time in months, I felt alive. She whispered my name like a secret. Like a promise. Like a sin. Afterward, we didn't speak. Just lay there, tangled in shame and sheets, knowing the damage wasn't done. It was just beginning. The next morning, Vanessa found us. Of course she did. Eliza didn't flinch. Just stood up, naked, unapologetic. Vanessa's eyes widened. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. I met her gaze. Calm. Cold. You sold my past, I said. So I took your blood. She slapped me. Hard. Eliza laughed. Vanessa didn't speak. Not at first. Her hand lingered in the air after striking me, as if frozen mid-regret. Eliza, naked and unbothered, walked to the kitchen as though this weren't a scene straight out of a broken Greek myth. I stood, half-dressed, heartbeat pounding in my ears. Shame should have crushed me. It didn't. Instead, a sick calm washed over my skin like cold rain. You had no right, Vanessa finally whispered, voice sharp and cracking. You had no loyalty, I replied, stepping past her. Behind us, Eliza rummaged through the fridge. Anyone want eggs? Silence. Vanessa turned to her sister, eyes blazing. You're disgusting. Eliza smirked. Tell me something I don't know. Vanessa left, slamming the front door so hard a picture frame fell from the wall. I stared at it, an old photo of us in the cabin. Snow falling behind our smiles. My arm around her waist. Her head on my shoulder. We looked happy. How stupid we were. Was that too far? Eliza asked, softer now. She'd thrown on one of my shirts, her messy hair framing her face like wildfire. No, I said. It was inevitable. She stepped closer. Want me to leave? I shook my head. Not yet. The day passed in a strange blur. Eliza stayed. She moved through my home like she belonged there. Cooking, cleaning, laughing at dumb movies with me like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't detonated a nuclear bomb in the middle of my broken marriage. By nightfall, we were drunk. Again. On the couch, half a bottle of whiskey gone, she asked. Would you have ever cheated if she didn't? I paused. No. But you wanted to. Maybe. She leaned in, lips brushing mine. You wanted me. I didn't deny it. We didn't make love that night, we devoured each other. On the kitchen counter. Against the hallway wall. In the bed Vanessa still shared with me. Lust wasn't the right word. This was vengeance dressed in velvet. Vanessa didn't return for days. She texted briefly. Don't contact me. We're done. I want a divorce. I replied. Fine. But I want the truth first. No answer. I started digging. Daniel was easy to find. His last name, Morin, came from a shared photo on Vanessa's social media 6 months ago, before things fell apart. A fundraiser. Smiles. Laughter. His arm around her shoulder. I thought he was just another charity case she'd been helping. Turns out he wasn't broke. Or sick. Or in debt. He owned a gym. Drove a Porsche. Took monthly ski trips to Vermont. The only treatment he needed was for his ego. I printed everything. Bank records. Property transfers. Pictures. Date. One showed him kissing Vanessa on the porch of my cabin. My hands shook. I could almost hear the fireplace crackling. The one I built with my father. I showed Eliza everything. She stared at the papers in stunned silence. She said he had a dying kid? Yeah. She gave away a legacy for this? I nodded. Wow, she whispered. I underestimated her. I underestimated both of you. That earned a pause. You think I'm like her? I didn't answer. You think I'm just revenge? Still no answer. She stood up, fire in her eyes. Say it. If this meant nothing, tell me now. I looked up at her. It meant everything. That's the problem. The divorce moved quickly. Vanessa wanted to bury everything. No court drama. No fighting. I let her have the house. She offered it like a peace treaty, hollow and insincere. I want the cabin back, I said at our last meeting. She looked away. It's gone. I know it's not. It's under Daniel's name. You can reverse it. You really think I'd do that after everything? I leaned in. You owe me. You don't get to walk away clean. She flinched. For the first time, I saw guilt. Real, raw. Then she whispered, You don't know what he has on me. That was new. What? She stood. Just let it go, Matt. Please. I grabbed her wrist. What does he have? Tears welled in her eyes. Nothing you want to carry. That night, I broke into the cabin. Technically still mine, spiritually stolen. The locks were new, but I knew how to get around them. A side panel on the porch still slid open if you pushed the right way. My father's little trick. Inside, it smelled the same. Wood, old whiskey, pine. Memories clung to the walls like smoke. But the bedroom had changed. Silk sheets, mirrors, candles. I found a shoebox under the bed. Inside, Polaroids. Dozens. Vanessa. Naked. Bound. Smiling. Daniel. Always in frame. Always smug. My stomach turned. I kept flipping. Then another woman. Blonde. Kavya. Familiar. Eliza. No. No, it couldn't be. But it was. There she was. Tied up beside Vanessa. Eyes closed. Lips parted. And Daniel between them. I drove home blind with rage. She was on my couch, drinking tea, wearing my hoodie. I threw the shoebox at her feet. Explain. Her face drained of color. Where did you? The cabin. She picked up a photo. Stared. Silent. I didn't know you'd see these, she said quietly. You're in all of them. It was before us. Before I knew she sold it. Before I knew she told you. You slept with him? She nodded. Once. Maybe twice. Jesus, Eliza. But I didn't love him. I didn't love her. I loved you. I collapsed into a chair, hand over my mouth. You were just another part of it. No. That was a mistake. You weren't. But you used it. You knew. I didn't plan this, she pleaded. I didn't mean to fall for you. I stared at her. That's the second time I've heard that this month. She reached for me. I pulled away. I think you need to go, I said. Matt. I mean it. She left, crying. I spent the night with the Polaroid, not looking at them, just holding the weight of them. My wife betrayed me. Her sister joined her. Daniel took everything. And somehow I still wanted answers. So I went to Daniel, at his gym. I waited outside until he finished training some client. When he came out, I stepped in front of him. Matt, he said. No fear. Just that same damn smirk. Heard you're going through a rough patch. I punched him. Hard. Jaw cracked. He stumbled back. Then, laughing, he said, Want to know the real kicker? I grabbed his shirt. Tell me. They weren't the only ones. There were more. Dozens. You're lying. I filmed everything. Your cabin was a playground, man. Your wife was the star. I shoved him against the wall. What did you do to her? She wanted it. They all did. You blackmailed her. He wiped blood from his mouth. They begged to be filmed. Some people just want to burn. I let go. Walked away. He called after me. You want the cabin? Buy it back. 10 times what she sold it for. I drove for hours after that. Ended up at a lake near the cabin. Sat on a bench as the sky dimmed. Everything I knew had shattered. My wife was never mine. Her sister was never real. The cabin was never safe. And me? I wasn't innocent either. The lake looked like glass. Cold, motionless. Just like me. I sat there for hours, replaying every conversation I'd ever had with Vanessa. With Eliza. With Daniel. I wondered if any of it had ever been real. The air chilled my bones, but I didn't move. Part of me hoped someone would find me frozen by morning. It seemed easier than facing what came next. But I didn't die. That would have been mercy. I lived, and with living came decisions. One, in particular, kept clawing at my gut. I needed the cabin back. Not just to reclaim property, but to cleanse it. Burn it down, if I had to. Turn ash into redemption. The next morning, I called a friend. Liam. Real estate lawyer. Grew up with me in Asheville. We hadn't talked in years, but when he heard the bitterness in my voice, he didn't ask questions. I need that cabin transferred back under my name, I said. Legal purchase? He asked. Fraudulent transfer. Financial coercion. You name it. Dig until something sticks. He whistled. This serious? I'll pay anything. I'll make calls. Meanwhile, Vanessa kept silent. No texts. No emails. No apologies. Eliza did the opposite. She messaged me twice a day, always short. Always the same theme. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Please let me explain in person. It was before I fell for you. Before I knew. I ignored every message. I needed space to breathe without someone else's guilt crawling across my skin. Liam called back a few days later. You were right, he said. Daniel registered the title under a shell company tied to a dummy trust. It's shady as hell. If you sue, you can at least freeze the asset. Do it, I said. You're prepared for the blowback? I've been through worse. Then buckle up. I started driving to the cabin again. Not to confront anyone. Not yet. Just to remember. I parked a mile out, hiked the familiar trail through whispering trees, and sat by the shed where my dad kept his tools. The cedar scent still clung to the walls. I found an old journal under a loose floorboard. I'd forgotten it existed. Inside, his handwriting danced across yellowing pages. Notes about the roof needing repair. Sketches of a swing he planned to build. Scribbled dreams. At the back, a single entry stuck with me. A home isn't 4 walls. It's what you protect inside them. I closed the journal and cried for the first time since Vanessa's confession. 3 weeks passed. The court ordered a temporary hold on Daniel's assets, including the cabin. It wasn't a win yet, but it was leverage. Liam told me Daniel was pissed. Good. That same night, Eliza showed up at my door. Unannounced. Pale. Eyes puffy from crying. I need to talk, she said. I stepped aside. Let her in. She stood in the hallway for a while, like a ghost unsure where to haunt. Then she spoke. I was part of it, but not the way you think. I crossed my arms. Then explain. She sat on the couch, our couch. The one where we first tangled in that night of revenge. I met Daniel at one of Vanessa's events. He flirted with everyone, but she loved the attention. Said he made her feel dangerous. I scoffed. That checks out. He started suggesting things. Kinky stuff. Photos. Recording. She liked it. Said it gave her control over something. She never had control, I muttered. She gave away the only thing that mattered. Eliza continued. I thought it was harmless. I joined once. Just to see. Peer pressure. Curiosity. Whatever excuse I had. It was stupid. Afterward, I felt sick. I swore I'd never be that girl again. But you were. For a moment. Long enough. She nodded. But then she sold your cabin. Behind your back. And I realized what she'd become. What I'd almost become. I hated myself for it. And I hated her. And that's why you came to me? She looked up, wounded. No. I came to you because I couldn't stop thinking about you. Because when I was with you, I felt real again. Not some prop in someone's fantasy. Then why didn't you tell me sooner? I was scared, she whispered. You were the one good thing I found in the ruins. I didn't answer. Later that night, after she left, I opened a new message from Vanessa. Just a single video. I hesitated before pressing play. It was her. Crying. Makeup smeared. Alone in the cabin. I don't know who I am anymore, she said, voice hoarse. Daniel had something on me. Something I thought I could handle. But I couldn't. She looked into the camera. I didn't sell the cabin for love. I sold it to make it stop. Another pause. Then, you were the only one who never wanted to use me. She ended with, if I disappear, just know I'm sorry. Then it went dark. I tried to call her. No answer. I called Eliza. Have you talked to Vanessa? No. Why? She sent me something. I think she's in trouble. Should we call the police? I don't know. The next morning, I drove to the cabin. Again. This time, I wasn't alone. I brought a crowbar. And rage. No one answered the front door. I broke in. The place was empty. Cold. Like no one had lived there for weeks. Then I noticed the fireplace was still warm. And on the mantel, a single photo. Me and Vanessa. Smiling. Before any of this. Behind it, a folded piece of paper. He owns me. But not for much longer. No name. No date. But I knew. I called Liam. Asked if Daniel's assets included surveillance equipment. Why? He asked. Because I think he's been recording women without their consent. Liam cursed. You want to file criminal charges? Yes. And I want every single one of those tapes found. Burned. Erased. He paused. That's war, Matt. I'm done playing defense. By week's end, a search warrant hit Daniel's gym and apartment. They found footage. Dozens of drives. Hidden cameras. Some showing Vanessa. Others, Eliza. Even strangers. None of them knew. I confronted Daniel one last time. In cuffs. He looked up from the squad car window, bruised, smirking. You think she'll forgive you, he said. I don't need forgiveness, I replied. Just closure. As they drove him away, he laughed. Eliza visited again. We sat in silence. No sex this time. Just pain. I'm going away for a while, she said. I need to figure out who I am without her shadow. I understand. I hope someday you'll forgive me. I nodded. I already did. She kissed my cheek. You were the first man I didn't need to perform for. And then she was gone. The court awarded the cabin back to me. I stood in it one final time. Alone. The walls had seen too much. Heard too much. So I doused the place in gasoline. Lit a match. Watched it all go up. The smoke rose like absolution. And for the first time in months, I smiled. The fire burned for hours. I stood by the edge of the clearing, feet rooted in the wet soil, and watched the flames consume the cabin. The inferno crackled, fierce and wild, eating everything I had ever loved, everything I had ever built. Vanessa wasn't there. Eliza wasn't either. Neither of them would ever return to this place again. It had become something else, something they had tarnished beyond recognition. And I was finally free of them. The flames flickered against the night sky, casting jagged shadows across the forest. The weight on my chest lifted with every passing second. The heat wrapped around me, searing and cleansing at once. The past burned away. The next morning, the fire department showed up. I didn't try to hide. I didn't try to run. I met them at the edge of the property, hands in my pockets. No tears. No regrets. You all right? One of the firefighters asked. Yeah, I said, voice steady. Just needed to let it go. He eyed me for a moment but didn't press further. Any idea what started the fire? Doesn't matter now. He gave me a long look before walking away. I returned to my apartment that evening, alone. The walls still felt empty, but there was a strange peace in the quiet. The echo of what had been was gone, replaced by something clean. Empty, but in a way that didn't feel like loss. It felt like a blank slate. I didn't reach for my phone. I didn't want to hear from anyone. Not Eliza. Not Vanessa. Not anyone. For the first time in months, I was free. Days passed, and I found myself slipping back into my routine. Work, gym, quiet dinners. No more endless messages. No more lies. The world had stopped revolving around their betrayal. I even went out with friends, laughed, drank, let my mind wander to places it hadn't been in so long. I didn't think about the cabin. I didn't think about her. I didn't think about Eliza. But then, one evening, as I sat at the bar, scrolling through my phone, I saw it. A post. From Eliza. I'm sorry. I hurt you. I betrayed you. But I needed to say this. I never wanted to hurt you. The words didn't move me the way I thought they would. No knots in my stomach. No pull at my heart. I just stared at the screen, a dull ache in my chest. The next post came soon after. I left. For good. It's the only way I can be better. The pain wasn't gone, but it wasn't fresh anymore. I didn't feel the need to reach out. I didn't need an explanation from her. She was gone. And so was everything she had ever represented. The brokenness, the manipulation, the choices she made. For the first time, I realized she had never been mine to fix. And that's what had kept me tangled in the web all along. I had tried to save her, like I had tried to save myself, and all it did was drag me under. A week passed before I saw Vanessa again. She showed up at my apartment door, wearing black. No makeup. Her face drawn, tired, older than I remembered. I didn't let her in right away. We stood there for a while, both of us silent. You look like hell, I said. She didn't respond. Just stared at the ground. Her voice broke when she spoke. I fucked up, Matt. Yeah. You did. She nodded. You're right to hate me. I don't hate you. She looked up, confused. Then what? I'm just done. With all of it. Her eyes filled with tears. You're really done? Yeah, I said. I'm done with you. With Eliza. With everything. You wanted a divorce. You got it. Her lips trembled. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I turned away from the door. You're not welcome here. And neither is your apology. She didn't say anything more. Just walked away. The sound of her footsteps faded. The next few months were quiet. Peaceful. I didn't go looking for love. I didn't chase fleeting distractions. I focused on rebuilding myself, piece by piece. I found solace in the small things again. Work, walks through the city, and the occasional conversation with an old friend. The cabin was gone, but my father's legacy lived on in the lessons he'd taught me. I realized it wasn't the land that had mattered. It was the value I'd placed on what I thought I had to protect, what I thought I had to hold on to. One late evening, I ran into Eliza at a coffee shop. She was sitting alone, staring into her cup, like she'd been waiting for this moment, too. We locked eyes, and for a brief moment, neither of us knew what to say. The air between us felt thick, heavy with all that had happened. Finally, she spoke. You moved on, didn't you? I nodded. I did. She studied me for a moment. I wanted to make things right. But I can't. I know that now. I didn't reply. No words were needed. She looked down at her hands. I'm sorry. For everything. I never meant for it to go this far. I know, I said. But it did. And it can't be undone. She stood up slowly, her eyes searching mine. I don't want to be part of your past anymore. Not like this. I'm okay with that, I said. I'm finally okay with it. She hesitated, then nodded. Goodbye, Matt. And she left. I never saw her again. The cabin, burned to the ground, was a memory now. A smoldering heap of old dreams and false promises. But for me, it was the beginning of something new. I had learned the hard way that some things cannot be controlled. Some people cannot be saved. But in the ashes of what once was, I found freedom. A different kind of peace. The kind you earn. And with that, the weight that had once crushed me lifted. Slowly but surely. And I was free.